Um, I I think by what comes to mind, the first thing that comes to mind is that I used to be working as a counselor,
Yes.
and I have overcome um, a lot of physical challenges, health challenges,
All
and all
right.
kinds of challenges. And I think this is an example that no matter what happens, I can still stay in a positive state,
Yes.
irrespective of.
You can transform. You can transform whatever it is and turn it into a lesson that expands your soul.
Yes,
So, why is it that you used to be a counselor?
because right now I'm a student again. I'm studying um, meditation. I want to become a meditation teacher,
All right.
and
And so this is exciting to you, yes?
uh, not
No?
100%, not 100%. I have to tell you, since I was informed that I want this interaction with you, I had another dream that really turned my life upside down. And would you permit me now to tell you the dream?
Briefly, yes.
Yes. So I had a dream that I was waiting for a bus, and next to me was a man in a wheelchair, and he wanted to go onto the bus, but took my luggage. And I said, "Sir," he was an army veteran, and I said, "Sir, this is my luggage." And then because I was pulling him back, he couldn't enter the bus. But because he was going forward towards the bus, I look at the bus and I see several mantis being standing on the bus. And I'm intrigued, benevolently intrigued. And I say to him, "Oh, look, there are mantis." And he said, "Oh, now I really have to get onto that bus." And the bus was going over a bridge from small city to big city. And the mantis were so alert. They were looking into the direction of where the bus was about to drive. And the air was filled with this alertness. You could cut it with a knife. That's how it felt to me. And I was
Yes.
thinking, okay, I'll go too. And then when I woke up, I asked my husband, "What do you know about the mantis?" And he said, "Not much." And I said, "I know nothing. I've heard the word, but I knew nothing." And then I started researching, and since then, I'm still grappling to fit it all together.
All right.
I read that they're connected with the Sasani, and I was thinking,
They are connected to the hybridization program. They are the overseers.
exactly. If somebody had asked me just, 3 weeks ago, "Do you want to learn more about the mantis?" I would have politely said, "No, thank you," because I thought I'm not interested at all in anything insect. And now I think, oh my God, I must be somehow connected with the hybridization program. Otherwise, I wouldn't be dreaming so
All right.
rapidly after.
All right. The symbology is mixed up with an actual presentation on a slightly different level of reality of getting on a ship with the mantises and the idea of the veteran who is in a wheelchair grabbing your bags is an indication that it is important to let go of old baggage that holds you back in order for you to move forward and join on that ship with the mantises to go from a smaller reality to a larger reality, which is what the bridge represents, going from a smaller city to a larger city. So it's about really letting go of the old baggage because that baggage holds you back and allowing yourself to be free enough to move forward, to get on the bus, so to speak, to go in that direction and to expand your consciousness. Does that help you?
Yeah, that does help me. How is the number 55 and 11 connected to the mantis? I had another dream that 55 is mantis and 11 is Sasani. What does this mean?
5 is the number of humanity. The idea is that you create synchronistic numbers for yourself to let yourself know as like road signs when you are in the correct vibration to move forward, to come from, to act from in your life. So all the numbers are basically representative of connecting to the one, but expressing it through your human self in a way that is more representative of your higher mind, of your soul, the one.
Okay. And is the flower iris somehow connected to any of the hybrid children?
Yes, it is not only the name of a hybrid child, the idea of the iris is that which opens up wider to allow more light in.
Yes.
It is not just the idea of the flower. It is more the idea of the iris that opens in your eye, the iris that opens in a camera lens to allow more light in. So
Oh,
open up and let more light in. Let go of the old baggage that's holding you down.
okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Does this serve you?
That serves me very much. Thank you.
All right. We thank you. Aveo.
Aveo.
Hey Bashar, this is your friend Teresa. Back in 1995, someone asked you about a race that he was calling the unseen ethereals because of their very pleasant ethereal aspect, as opposed to the fearful experience he was having with the Greys. You told him that that was a race you would call the founders, and that he was experiencing only one part of their nature, only the ethereal part of their nature, and that there was much more to them. And I'm wondering if you could talk more about the founders now. Have things changed enough since 1995 that you can give us more information on the founders? Thanks, Bashar.
No. However, there may be more about that group that will be presented within 3 to 5 of your years, not necessarily from us, but more information about them within 3 to 5 of your years, coming from a different source.
Hello, Tadeo.
Nania.
We have so many great questions from our viewers.
All right.
Okay, and the first one has to do with the handout. What happens if we do a misstep on one of these steps? Like if we look into a conspiracy theory or get into some religious spiritual argument with someone. If we notice it, learn from how it feels and adjust, are we back on track, so to speak? Is there anything more we need to do if that happens?
No. If you learn from it, then if you go back into the instruction in the way it was delivered, then you are back on track. So learn a lesson, learn why you may have desire to engage in that way, and then get back into the vibrational state as encouraged by the step. And realize that it's not necessary to venture that way again. Unless you do, then again, learn from it, learn why you chose to go in that direction. This can be used, like a lot of other things, to determine what your belief systems are and why you choose to do what you do. So if you use it that way, then you are learning, you are growing. But again, the idea is to realize that there is no need to do it, and that following the instruction more precisely will be to your advantage in creating the vibrational frequency that will bring you into alignment with contact and the interstellar alliance, if that is what you prefer.
Okay. And in step one, you said not to engage in discussions about conspiracy theories in general. Given that the UFO cover-up has been considered as conspiracy theory, but is an actual conspiracy, would engaging in conversation about it be considered going against the rule of step one?
No, because it is beyond theory at this point. There are too many witnesses, too many sources, too many verifications. from many different people. And therefore, it is out of the category of theory. So you can research, you can discuss. It has been suppressed and covered up. At this point, it is relatively obvious that there is enough research, enough validation from so many different sources of different types that you can consider it to be something that is real.
And does watching videos or stories about true or not true conspiracy theories and stories go against the interstellar experiment? What I mean is, I enjoy watching these forms of entertainment without being emotionally affected.
If it is research, if you can remain neutral in observing all of the input from those particular presentations, then it is research. But the idea is to allow yourself to pay attention to whether you are becoming caught up in it once again, if you ever were, and to remain neutral in the observation of those things so that you don't necessarily develop a strong opinion in one direction or another about what is true about them or not. If it is too challenging for you to not form an opinion, to not have strong perspectives on what it is you are watching, what it is you are absorbing, then again, it would be best for now to back off and remain neutral and maybe not absorb as much of the information. But if you can remain completely neutral, completely objective, and allow it all to simply be information for the purpose of research, then it is fine. But you have to pay attention honestly as to whether that's what you're doing or not.
Okay, and because you will be discussing in step 3 writing letters to specific individual officials around the globe regarding disclosure of UFO contact, and in doing so providing specific wording for us to use, I would appreciate if you could also give us instructions for non-native speakers of English. Is it okay to translate the wording you provided into our own native language and use it in whatever ways you may suggest? And is it okay to share what I have translated with the people of my own country who would also like to join the social experiment, so they can also send letters to specific individuals?
Yes, that is fine. However, one suggestion we would have would be, don't necessarily rely on your own translation unless you are a professional interpreter, a professional translator who is absolutely certain that your translation is accurate in terms of the intention and meaning behind the words that are delivered in English. So you can translate it into different languages, but for those who are not proficient at the translation, then we would suggest that you find someone who is and ask them if the translation, or ask them to translate it in a way that captures fully the exact meaning of the original language. So if you can do that, and you can know that it is accurately representative, then that is fine.
And also, one question that came up, some individuals may feel anxiety about being perceived as some sort of target or part of some conspiracy or something in their land. And what are some suggestions for dealing with anxiety about, in a sense, sticking out or making yourself, I guess you'd say, a target or something like that?
Well, this simply goes back to some of the original ideas we have discussed for many years. You have to examine your belief system and find out why you are perceiving this in a fear-based or negative way. If the idea is too challenging for you, then as we have said, it's up to you to decide not to be a part of the social experiment. As the word implies, it is a social experiment, which means it requires interaction with society. So if you find that too challenging and are unable to let go of any fear-based or negative beliefs you have surrounding your participation in this social experiment, then don't participate. Otherwise, get in touch with your belief systems as to why you believe that it would be a negative thing to move forward in this way, and learn to let them go. Learn to let those beliefs go. Learn to transform them into something more positive so that you can be coming from your self-empowerment, your indestructible core. But again, as always, it is up to you to decide whether this is something that you are capable of participating in or not.
And also the idea of, I guess, thousands of letters going out all over the planet. What do you anticipate would be the reaction from administrative levels of our planet to that kind of thing, onslaught happening?
One particular reaction would be that they understand that there is organization to these thoughts, that there is unification to these thoughts, that there is similarity beyond borders, beyond cultures. This is something that can awaken them to realize that this is an important issue to look at, an important issue to address. Beyond that, there is no insistence or expectation, but we know that that recognition will occur in many individuals when they see a massive amount of individuals, regardless of country, regardless of background, regardless of other belief systems, unified in the idea of requesting the release of this information.
Okay. And when you talk about the hybridization agenda by the Greys, it sounds like humanity agreed to it in some higher level, that the Earth becoming the sixth hybrid race is a part of that agenda, and this has already been decided. If humanity on a conscious level became aware of this as a fact, it would have been looked at as a silent, covert invasion and not something positive or beneficial. I suppose this is why it is being carried out in secret from the majority of the population. How would you explain this conundrum? Is the slow drip disclosure a part of making the general population accustomed to the idea? Would not carrying out this agenda result in humanity going the path of the negative timeline the Greys experienced?
No.
And without white lies, how would you explain it if you had an opportunity to have a transmission that the entire Earth could hear?
Again, the idea is that understanding your connection to your galactic family, awakening to your true potential, awakening to the agreements that you have made for the evolution of humanity, would do exactly the opposite of allowing you to go down the negative path that the Greys took. It would allow you more opportunity to choose the path that you prefer in a positive way. The idea of secrecy is, as you say, euphemistically, a kind of drip system that allows humanity to get used to the idea, but it is also what gives humanity the time to awaken and remember that they made this agreement, so that it doesn't feel forced, so that it doesn't feel like an invasion, as you say, so that you can take responsibility for the part you are playing in having made an agreement from a higher level to aid and assist in the evolution of humanity in this format, in this way. And it is the acceptance of this responsibility and the awakening to the memory of the choice that you made as a collective that would allow you to be able to choose a more positive path and not go down the path that the Greys took in their reality.
And so the idea of this being a timeline for humanity. It's just one timeline. So, of course, there will be those individuals who would not want to participate in this direction for humanity.
Yes, and they will have their own reality. They will move on and proceed as if this didn't happen. There are many versions of Earth and many different scenarios that you can navigate to that will fit what you prefer based on the belief system you hold to be true.
So someone who's highly focused on the earth and ecological issues and wanting the planet to become more and more beautiful and not with conflict, a peaceful, wonderful place, heaven on earth, so to speak. They can have that experience without becoming part of the hybridization timeline. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, of course. Again, there is a kind of mass consensus in large part with humanity to have agreed to the idea of aligning with open contact and aligning with the idea of the hybridization program, aligning with the vibration of the interstellar alliance. Obviously, what we are suggesting in these steps are the steps that are necessary to align with that particular Earth reality for those who have chosen it. But yes, of course, there is always the availability of other versions of parallel realities, parallel versions of Earth, that don't necessarily include what it is that we are suggesting in these steps. And that is why we tell you it's up to you to decide to participate or not, so that you can feel it out for yourselves as to what kind of reality you have chosen to prefer, you have chosen to be a part of, what group you have chosen to navigate to different Earths with. However, the vast majority of individuals who are exploring the idea of the expansion of consciousness on your planet at this time, again, not that all of them have to have chosen this, but the vast majority, as we perceive it, of those who are exploring the expansion of consciousness have agreed to participate in this particular form of humanity's evolution. And those are the ones we are speaking to. And only those.
Okay. I have an image in my mind, this person is saying, in which they perceive all the people on Earth watching the news on their devices and watching live, like what happens on New Year's with the countdown and fireworks. I see the governments of Earth declare that they have opened their borders and burned their weapons. Every time I get that image, I get excited. I want to know if that image will happen on Earth, and if so, will it happen before we join the Interstellar Alliance or after? Is that something that has already happened in another version of Earth?
It is something that exists in many other versions of Earth, and you have to decide exactly whether or not you are navigating in that direction. There is a high probability that many of you are. The idea of such a thing would happen after open contact, but it would have to happen before you are officially joined to the Interstellar Alliance. So in between the idea of contact and the idea of actually joining the Interstellar Alliance is where something like that would most likely fall.
Okay. Now this person is asking about the formula. And they say they live by the formula, but they can't seem to make it work.
Then they don't live by the formula.
Excuse me?
Then they do not live by the formula.
Right. They're saying that I was raised with beliefs like work before play, you have to earn your fun, life is hard, you can have too much of a good thing. I find it incredibly difficult to find and change the belief systems behind these. How can I learn to feel joy and passion and be sure that I am living the formula as a self-organizing principle?
Well, again, you have to actually live the formula, which you're not doing, because you're not allowing yourself to redefine some of those belief systems in certain ways that serve you. For example, when you talk about the idea that you have to earn the ability to be happy, you do not have to do that. You have to understand that joy is a natural state that belongs in your spirit, that is an expression of spiritual existence. You have to understand that the definitions you have are not working for you. You have to understand there are other definitions that would work for you and be more in alignment with the idea of what the formula is telling you, of what the formula is saying and how it works. So you have to match the definitions you have with the way that the formula has been described to you as working for you to your advantage. If you hold on to definitions that are contradictory to it,